going on? My name's Andrew. This over here to my other side is Kris. Say hi, people. Kris.
How's it going, everyone?
Awesome, awesome. So we're gonna be talking today, uh, on some subjects about how life has been going for everyone from the COVID shit. We're gonna talk about some fantasy wrestling news. We're gonna talk about how we have an app now, and we're gonna see how our group is from an outsider perspective. As a lot of people know, Kris, some people may not know this, some people may, but you are my cameraman. You are somewhat Chad's cameraman, and you are the man responsible for filming the cinematic match that we filmed for Backlash. So,
That's right.
so give us some of your thoughts, your feedback, and if you would have changed anything about that, just go on and tell us about your opinions on it.
I mean, as far as the whole thing goes, the live action match, thought you did a pretty good job on that. I think without the editing skills of Trey, things wouldn't have been as good. But all in all, I think you did a really good performance. Uh, I think it was good practice for Chad, and definitely something that I could see both of you guys doing in the future.
Oh dear. Really? You think Chad would be on that level of doing something like that again?
I mean, I know he probably wants to.
Probably wants to, yeah, but all right. So, I mean, what about what was your favorite part of the match? Like what was your favorite spot?
Well, the dramatic pan up to Anarchy was pretty cool.
Anarchy or Riot?
Riot.
Riot.
That's it.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
Riot. Forgot. But I thought that was cool. Um, the uh, the flying elbow from the steps was pretty impressive. Use of the what was it? Was it a shovel or a rake?
I think it was a rake.
The use of the rake was awesome.
No, I think it was a broom. Actually, I
Was
think
it a broom?
I don't. It was so.
I I was,
It was a wooden pole. That's all that we
yeah,
remember.
yeah. That was the only part I was focusing on. Was the part that was getting swung, not the real use of the tool.
Right. Right.
But yeah, thought that was neat.
What
Um,
was your least favorite spot of the match?
uh,
And be honest. Don't hold anything back. These are honest opinions. I don't want you to be catering to anyone's feelings. Just tell it how it is.
I mean, a few times that you guys are just rolling around on the floor didn't really do much for the camera. Because I mean, yeah, when somebody gets knocked down, the fight usually goes in that direction. But when people watch wrestling, they don't. They like the high flying and the all the crazy stuff.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but you know, and this is not to put any like discredit to Chad
Yeah,
because the way he was working, I'm gonna give him credit because at least he participated.
yeah.
But as someone who was trying to make it seem more realistic and uh more real per se,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of didn't help that he was very stiff. Like he was holding his shots back. He wasn't trying his best to.
He was pulling punches a little too hard.
Right, and then it's like most of his stuff didn't even connect. That's why like you heard me making those weird noises. You
Yeah,
know,
that was like you to be simulating you getting hit.
right? And it was like you have to. Like I mean, he threw a pretty good DDT down, I thought.
Yeah.
Uh, and you know he somewhat showed a little bit of emotion when he said like I was nothing Riot, and that's the most emotion I've heard him use in his
Yeah.
time here. But you know, it is what it is.
And that was a cool part when you came up as Riot and he was attacking you to no avail. Nothing worked.
Right, and it's I mean, again, it was fun doing it. We've seen like attacks. I don't know if you've saw the attack that DC did to Casey like earlier last year, or
Uh, no, I don't think I did. Don't think I did.
I'll send it to you. It's pretty brutal. But so you know how like you have those medical crutches?
Yeah.
He broke one over
Oh,
Casey's
I did
back.
see that. I did see that. They were in like a parking lot, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I
and
did see
and
that.
the fact DC broke a crutch over his back was absurd.
Yeah.
So all right. So
And I mean that's a part of wrestling. You gotta be able to take hits. It's not all pulled punches. I mean, they get hurt for reasons. You
right,
gotta sometimes to sell something. You gotta actually take a punch.
yeah, and I tried my best working with it, and at the end of the day, thanks to the editing goddess of Trey and you, and just a lot of people worked on this project to make it what it was. And again, like I liked working with Chad somewhat because again, we live close by. This was a
It
new
was
one.
convenient.
Yeah, it was not only convenient, but to trust someone enough to be willing to put your body on the line like that, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, it does.
So moving on from Chad,
Uh huh.
um, is there any other talent besides me and Chad that has grown your attention?
I'd like to see a live match between you and DC.
Really?
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it would be awesome, but it wouldn't make sense right now.
Not right now, no, no. But I think you two would work really, really good together in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, besides a live match, is there like a talent that you enjoy watching?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I mainly focus on the stuff that I was involved in, just so I can see how it went. I'll check on the stuff that you put up, the stuff that Chad puts up, and occasionally, if I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see one that pops up that looks interesting, I'll watch it. But for the most part, it's it's mainly you two that I'll see.
Okay, okay. I mean,
Um,
that makes sense. I mean,
Stuff that Trey does, I always like.
have you seen anything from Anonymous?
I have, I
Oh,
have, 'cause he's currently who you're paired up against, isn't it?
I was, and I think our final match was like 2 weeks ago, and he beat me, and I wouldn't have booked it any other way because it
Yeah,
makes sense for the new guy to get a big win. You know,
yeah, it's a great way for him to get his name out in the group.
right, right, and I mean it was fun. He did a lot of green screen effects, and
Yeah.
he even came to my house and pissed all over my carpet.
And see, and that's the kind of stuff that gets you recognized because no one's
Right,
really done anything like that with like green screening themselves into someone else's house.
right. Like no one's done it. Normally, we're seeing a new like a surge of new ways of edits coming
Hmm.
in. whether it be from the E-Fed guys or just a guy who was brought in from two of the top guys. Like me and DC brought Jason in,
Yeah.
and Jason was a big WWE fan and a big WCW fan and a big Sting
Hmm.
fan, and that's just how it went, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and it's nice because it's keeping things fresh. It's keeping the group with new things to look at outside of just your standard type of promos. Because it's one thing when you got two people basically calling each other out back and forth, but it's another when you go to that extra level of anytime the promos are out of the ordinary. Like anything with Anonymous so far has been really interesting. I really liked when you guys were up. Was it Tennessee? You guys went to?
I went to Tennessee,
That's what I
and
mean. You and DC and who else was there?
it was me, DC, Trey. It was Casey, Logan, or Loco, Jr. The power couple, Shelby and Jacob. CLA was there. Brody was there. Brody's brother was there. See, I have a whole picture.
It was just really cool seeing a good portion of Elite Marks all together in one place, creating content together instead of separately.
Right. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed that during the whole Mania party, um, that we really didn't like get that much content. I mean, I know a lot of them. I know a lot of them like are living close together, and I would love to see like Shelby and DC do a thing, or I like to see Jacob and DC do a thing, and
Yeah,
probably Trey and DC at some point, or Trey and Shelby, which I'm surprised they didn't do that.
I just
Um,
anything where it's more than two separate promos against someone. You know, when you have two people actually talking with each other, or even a group, it feels like a lot more like I'm actually watching wrestling because
right, right. I mean
you
that
get that.
that's a great take too.
Oh yeah, when you get those, it gives you like those real locker room feel when you're watching like those behind the scenes locker room promos.
Yeah, and there is a lot more stuff that happens behind the scenes because we have an alumni chat where the
Oh
biggest
yeah,
names are in, like the ones who founded the group. They're in, and
yeah.
we just shoot shit. We're great friends out. We're different than what we portray as, and
Oh, of course, of course.
it was a great thing. So I know you don't like to watch other people's stuff, but we luckily I have something that may interest you to keep you at least updated once in a blue moon for
Oh
what
yeah,
goes on. We currently have an Elite Marks app. It's not on the App
an app.
Store. Yes, it's not on the App Store, but I'll send you the link.
All right.
And I believe if you gotta probably add it to your home screen because that's what I
Mm-hmm.
did because it's not on the App Store.
Was it just like a link online?
It's like a link to um. I sent you the link. You would have to add it to your home screen. It took me a minute to learn how to do that. But once I got it down, I put it on my main page, and every day I'll go on there see if there's like some news or whatnot.
Yeah.
And we got the roster picks, we got events, we got results, we got news, rumors, we got belt histories, records, rankings. There's even a link to the fantasy wrestling podcast that's run by Trey, and it's really intriguing and interesting to a lot of them. And I personally like it. It helps keep me up to date on what's been going on.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
watching promos from other guys, such
you
as
got top news,
yeah,
and rumors, and yeah, this is
yeah.
cool.
I think the rumors page, right? So in the rumors page on the app, you can read it about. It says something about me going to wrestling penitentiary.
Yeah, Wrestling Penitentiary is continuing talks with Anarchy about joining. Obviously, it would be a shock to the wrestling world if Anarchy joins WP. But as of now, talks are at a standstill. WP wants Andrew to start in August, but that was around the same time Stencil wanted to come back. The current rule states that you can't complete in WP and EM at the same time. As of now, Andrew Anarchy is on a vacation, and it will be interesting to see what Andrew does.
Right, and I was on the fantasy wrestling podcast. I think Friday it was. It was the day that I was supposed to do something the night before. Unfortunately, some circumstances happened, and I missed it. But on the following night, it was me, Chad, and Trey. We were all talking shit
Yeah,
about fantasy wrestling and how certain businesses ran their company and whatnot. And I said some regrettable stuff about the owner of Wrestling Penitentiary.
uh huh.
Um, Honestly, I liked Mikey Rage. I really do. He's a great guy. I don't know him personally to make a judgment of his character.
Yeah.
So what I was saying was pure speculation and none of it was true whatsoever. And I kind of feel bad because the way we were talking about him made him sound like he was a douchebag and he's really not. So again, we'll see how those talks go with him. I mean, I'd be interested in joining the pen as long as I can continue to compete in elite marks.
Yeah.
But I think, if we just have me and him talk about it, it would be totally smooth things over and we could probably come to an agreement there.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool for you to branch out, but like you said, I don't think you should leave Elite Marks anytime soon or at all. I mean,
No, I don't want to
it's
leave
a
elite
brand
marks.
that you helped build.
I don't think I helped build it. I just think I added a little bit more popularity to it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, yeah, the foundations were there and it was great, and then you came along and you contributed to it greatly. A lot, a lot of the big content you're involved in.
Fair enough. I mean, but speaking of like elite marks, I know you're on the page as a viewer,
Yeah,
and a lot of the stuff that you are involved in is the stuff that you get interested in, and everyone's asking. All right, Trey asks. Uh, some of the big names have been asking, would we see just and I already know the answer to this because we just talked about this before recording. But for the people at home, would Elite Marks ever see a promo cut by Kris the cameraman?
probably not. I like it here in the background where I can observe and contribute in ways that don't put me so much in the spotlight.
Right, right. I mean, you're a big guy, Kris. All right. To the other people's defense, you're a big guy. You're about what 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", somewhere around there.
Around 6'4", yeah.
You're about 6'4", roughly 260, 270.
Yeah.
I want to say. So you've got the build of a professional athlete. You've got the body and the build of it. And I admit, I'm kind of shocked that you haven't tried to pursue like an athletic career. Like,
I
whether it
mean,
be football, baseball,
all
or
all through high school, I had um coaches asked me to play football, but I don't know. I just running around in a field all sweaty and tackling dudes just didn't sound like a good time to me.
kind of feel offended because I played football. I played defensive line, and I played running back. So I kind of feel a little bit attacked there.
It's not my cup of tea. I sports I like hunting. I like fishing, yeah, crabbing. That the people consider those sports,
Yeah,
and they put food on my plate.
well, crabbing is a Maryland pastime, and
Yeah,
so do you. So you live right down the street from me.
yeah.
How much do you enjoy Old Bay? For the people at home, this is coming from a true Marylander. How much do you put Old Bay on everything?
I enjoy it. I enjoy it on certain things, but I don't go to the extent that some people do, where it's like if it's a savory dish, they put Old Bay on it. Like I like it on my seafood. I like it on like
Have you
sometimes I'll put it on
ever
chicken.
have you ever put it on
Um,
steak?
Never put it on steak. I like my steaks pretty simple. I do salt,
Okay. Okay.
pepper.
Hold on. Trigger alert. Chris, how do you enjoy your steak?
I like them blue rare. It's a rare. Um, but when I'm cooking them, I'll season them in just salt, pepper, garlic, and sometimes I'll put like a little sprig of rosemary and some butter. And I'll do that on a like on a cast iron skillet. If I'm grilling it out on like on a like actual on a grill, not on a pan, I'll just do the salt and pepper. Maybe sometimes I'll do like Montreal steak seasoning, but
What is
I like
Montreal steak seasoning?
it's just a traditional pantry steak seasoning. It's like a pre-made steak seasoning. Um, let me see.
So define blue rare because you used that term before, and I think I asked you this, but define blue rare.
Blue rare on a steak is essentially you're searing just the outside to give it some caramelization and color, and the interior is essentially is raw.
So you eat it bloody.
Well, there's no blood, and if there's blood in your steak, it's good. It's you're gonna taste it. Anybody who has had blood in their mouth from like biting their tongue or whatever reason, there's no denying that there's blood in your mouth.
But so you don't. So you at least cook the steak long enough so the
There's
blood.
no when you butcher an animal, the first thing you do is you bleed it out. There shouldn't be any blood in your steak. The red stuff you're seeing in your meats, that's myoglobin. That's a meat protein.
So it's
It's
not
not
blood.
blood. No, it's not blood.
Oh, then
It's a protein. That's
okay.
just the water that's in the meat is changing color due to the proteins in the meat, not because of blood. If it was blood, you would taste it and you would smell it. It would smell very irony and taste very irony. And on top of that, the meat would go bad because any blood in the meat it just doesn't do good things once the meat's dead to have blood in it. Although blood, I've had blood soup before,
Uh,
and like blood
the
sausage and blood pudding.
I think the only time I've had blood in my mouth was when me and you were working together at at
But
Roy Rogers.
that wasn't blood though.
What was that?
That was just like chicken juice. It's basically the same thing. It's like as what
So
comes
at
out
what?
of
So
steak.
whatever it was, it didn't taste fucking good. And I
No,
believe I
it
got
was
sent
raw.
home that
It
day
was
too.
It was raw chicken juice. It's not good at all.
And I think I got sent home that day because
But you've had to have blood in your mouth on other aspects, like losing your
like
teeth when you were little.
yeah, I've like everyone has, but
Yeah.
uh
It's a taste that is extremely distinct. Everybody knows that metallic taste of blood. Anybody who says, "Oh, that steak's bloody," or they try a piece of steak that is a little on the rare side, it doesn't matter how much you cook blood; it still tastes like blood. If I killed an animal and just cut off a steak without bleeding it and then cooked it, it's gonna taste like blood no matter how much I cook it. Same thing like liver. Liver has the same metallic-y taste as blood. Doesn't matter how much you drain it out, it's still gonna taste like that. If meat, on the other hand, like muscle, not organ. Well, I guess muscle is technically organ as well. Besides the point, it it's very porous. Like the fibers, if you were to take like a syringe and inject like water into a piece of meat that isn't cooked, you'll see it just flows out. If it's a cut, if it's like a steak, if it's like a roast or something, you should be fine.
I
But
mean,
it's
you were.
fibrous.
I mean, you do know all this because I think you were a butcher at one point, weren't you?
I was a Okay. There's a difference between a butcher and a meat cutter.
Well, there's this. Well, I know there's a difference, but in today's society, a meat cutter is technically a butcher,
Well, what a butcher can take a whole animal and break it down into cuts
which I'm
that
pretty sure you can do as well.
I can, but I'm not technically a butcher. I only learned how to do that because I hunt and
Right.
I like to process my own meat when I can. If I can't, because it can be a little expensive taking an animal to a butcher to get it processed. But what a butcher would do, and what the butcher is also a meat cutter, but a butcher can take an animal from the moment it's slaughtered and can break it down into like roasts and steaks, whereas a meat cutter takes the big cuts that the butcher has already made and then they cut them into smaller cuts in roasts. So I would get like a tenderloin, like a whole tenderloin, and then cut those into steaks. That's what I did at Lauer's.
Was it Lowers or Food Lion? Because I thought for sure you were a Food Lion.
I was at Food Lion. Not, oh, I wasn't at Food Lion. I was at Safeway as in the deli, and then it was Lauer's for the meat cutting. I also did produce over there too, but I like the meat cutting a lot more.
I could have swore you were working at Food Lion as a butcher or as a meat
Never
cutter.
Food Lion.
Was that your brother that I was thinking of? Because
My
I
brother, my brother worked in the produce at the Food Lion for a bit,
okay.
but from what I've seen, Food Lion really doesn't have a like they have someone who works in the meat department, but I don't think they have meat cutters. I think most of their stuff comes pre-cut.
I mean, as someone who used to stock shelves there, I can confirm nor deny that.
Because I think at the very least they do their own grinds, their own ground beef, which ground beef is there's nothing to doing that. You just get you have to get your ratios right. Like if you're doing
Like a what?
like if you're doing like a 20 70, that means you have 20% fat, 70% meat. So when you buy ground beef, if you look on the package, it'll have the percentages. And some things require more fat. Some are better when the meat's more lean. Like if you were making like tacos and you're going to use ground beef instead of just like slices of steak or chicken, you're going to want a leaner ground beef. Otherwise, you're going to have very greasy tacos. So you'd want to get something with less fat, more meat. If you're doing something like hamburgers, you want a fattier meat so it holds itself together better, and you don't need to add as much fillers like breadcrumbs or egg to hold the patty together, because the fat kind of acts as a glue, holding everything together. But if you ever grinding meat, you want everything to be cold. You want the meat to be as cold as possible without it being frozen, and you want your grinder to be as cold as possible.
Is
I mean,
there a reason for that?
yeah, it just keeps everything together better. You get better looking grinds than if it's warm. I mean, most people aren't going to have a fridge or a freezer with enough space to put their meat grinder in to get it chilled, like a deep freezer, or if it's in the middle of winter, or even if it's colder outside than inside, you can stick your grinder out there, let it get nice and cold, and then drop your meats in from the fridge. And it's a lot easier. And cold ground beef is easier to work with when it comes to like shaping patties and stuff. You're making hamburgers, but
Yeah. Speaking of all this meat, man, making me hungry over here.
I have a roast turkey breast upstairs that I had last night. Might slice that up later and make some sandwiches.
Yeah. Last night, we made some pork chops, and it was all great. Um. So yeah. Well, I think that's going to about do it. Kris, and
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming on and just talking about
it was a good
meats
time.
and talking about fantasy wrestling with me, and I hope everyone else has enjoyed, and hopefully we can do this again soon, maybe with a little bit more preparations. We can make this a longer podcast.
Yeah. I mean, we pretty much are at 32 minutes now, but 30-minute episodes. That's a pretty standard issue. I mean, I don't know. Podcasts usually run for a while though,
Yeah.
but
But again,
regardless,
thank you for coming on, Kris. Thank you to everyone who came out to view this, and I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube, and then I'm going to be sharing it with the group. So that said, thank y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Deuces.